Welcome back, you guys. Tonight we have a Glock 19 Gen 3. Very interesting video ahead of us tonight. Let's quickly talk about the background story of this so we can kind of catch up to kind of where we are and what we're doing. Customer reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I want to have my slide done. Went ahead and did the work on it. They got the slide back. They were really pleased with the work that was performed on their slide, and they said, hey, I have a damaged Glock 19 Gen 3 slide, came back from a company out of Florida, and I'm wondering if there's a chance you can do a repair on it because it's atrocious. I mean, there's no better way of saying it other than it is damaged goods on a new level. So I said, well, send me some pictures of it, send it to me. Well, you know, until I have it in hand, I really just don't know what I can do with it. I didn't know what damaged meant. You know, you guys have seen on the channel, we fixed Glocks with drilled holes in the sides. We had a video that just came out. We ended up fixing an M&P that somebody had done some work on. So you just don't know what level of damage you have until it's in hand and you can start looking at the actual details. So it came in, I opened it up, and I was like, wow, this is rough. Like, this is rough. So we started talking a little bit more about what is your plan here? You know, what are you after? And I think at the end of the day, they're kind of just after some sort of quality product that looks somewhat decent, and we're back to somewhat, you know, an acceptable appearance in the event that they take this out in actual public. So let's talk about the work that was done. We are not going to go into the company that did the work. The company is out of Florida. They do a lot of work. From what I can tell from their webpage, the work looks pretty good. However, with product in hand, I don't know how they stay in business. I guess it's one of those companies that everyone is a new customer, right? There is no return customers, so everyone's a new customer. So, and the people that have had work done don't come back. So it kind of works like that, I'm guessing. So a couple of the issues that we're going to run into right here at the beginning is that we have different size pockets. We have different size step downs at different angles. If these were the same angle, we would see the same tail from what would be the top side to the bottom side, but we don't. So what we see is we see a different slope here, and then we see a different slope here. We also have a very short lockup area between where the barrel actually locks up to where this front hole is and our side holes. A little bit too close for my comfort and for what I recommend for my customers, because I'm looking for their safety. So that's one of the things that to take into consideration on this particular one, is that this is a fix-it build. We are going behind somebody's work and we're trying to do a correction. So there's definitely an issue there, without a doubt. That's something that we're going to try to address and clean up. I don't know how much we're going to be able to do here. There's a chip in this one. There's some chipping down here in what would be these little finned areas. So we're going to try to do our best. The other thing you're going to notice is there's a lot of tool markage on the slide. Now, my understanding is more than likely this came back colored and the customer just wasn't pleased with it, so they sanded it down, they tried to clean it back up, and they tried to do their own thing. So some of what we're maybe seeing here is a result of poor quality service the first go round. So, and you know, obviously, and that's how I ended up getting it. So, but the things that you see under here, like the tool marks that are underneath here or in these zones, that wouldn't have happened from the actual customer. That would happen from the shop, because they wouldn't have put tool marks in there. If anything, they would have taken those tool marks out of there. So pretty rough there overall. The other thing you're going to notice is we definitely have some roughage down here in the back zone where the rear serrations are. They've definitely been sanded down. I don't know 100% the whole story there, but we're going to do our best. There was definitely a logo or writing here that you can kind of still see. There's, if we can see it here, you can definitely see some cut marks, but there's actually a round line there, and I can't tell whether that was where, you can kind of see it right there. I can't tell whether if that was where the cutter made a pass or if that was something that was there. I just don't know. So that's something that we're going to clean up. Now on this side, which would be the right-hand side, of course, we come back into tool marks all over through here, and then we have half of a logo left over here. So we have part of our Glock logo that's left over here. So we're going to try and see what we can do the best of cleaning this up. And then we get to the back plate for the Trigicon. Now, I don't know whether, once again, this came back from the company and the consumer owner decided to make a change to it, or if this is how they got it back. I don't know. I know we all do things sometimes to make things look better. If we have an issue, like if you scratch your car, you're going to try to do your best job to buff it out, to hide it and conceal it. So there's maybe some work done here by a non-machinist. I don't know, but a couple of things I do know is that this plate is way wider than the slide is itself. And not only that, but if you look on this side, we've got a bump here. Okay, so some of the companies have these little bumps that go on the side, and they do like a chamfer on them. And then this side, it's been shaved off, like it's gone. Like the screw actually hangs over on this side. So I don't know if I'm going to recommend the plate go back on this slide. I would either, you know, probably buy a new plate and put on there, or probably go through the process of just leaving the plate off of it and go with an actual Trijicon, which is what it was cut for. Let's take the plate off. This is literally how it came into me. So let's take this plate off. Let's see what these screws look like. Let's see what it looks like underneath the plate. Obviously the screw heads have been pretty well sanded. I'm assuming that's a correction process there. Definitely interesting there. Let's go ahead and take this one off here as well and see what it looks like. Once again, I haven't had this off. I have no idea what it looks like underneath here. If we can get it off, it's kind of... Okay, that's interesting. Looks like it was hammered on. Yeah, you can tell it's pretty rough. It's got a lot of grime and grit in here. The other thing we can also see is, one of the first things I notice here is you can see all the cut lines. So you can see the cut lines going across this way, and then they're cupped here towards the front. So that's another thing that you can kind of see. Obviously that wasn't cleaned whenever they did that. They didn't hit the plunger hole, so I guess we're good there. I'm not sure if we're at the right depth. I'd have to make an actual measurement or take a measurement on that to see. But guys, I think where we're at now is I'm going to do the cleanup on this. I have some logo work that the customer wants over here, so we're going to run some logo work in there, and then the customer pretty much just said, make it look nice. So I don't know what we're going to do 100%. I don't know if we're going to run a thin pattern over the rear grip sections. I know for a fact that these are lower than the factory height, or I should say the thickness, so you got to be very careful. We don't want to go into where actually the channel is down here on the bottom, so we've got to be very careful. If we do run anything over the back, it's going to be more cosmetic than it is going to be functional, just because we don't have the depth that's there. And the other thing you're going to notice on this side is it's real smooth. It's been up here towards the front, it's almost cut flat. So I noticed that there was some small pitting, like there's some pits in here, so I'm going to try to do my best to get those out. And once again, there could be, you know, it could have been shaved down to remove some of those pits that are on there. So there could have been an actual mindset behind what was happening while it was happening. But on this side, it's really like thick. Like they're not shaved down at all on this side. So we've got to take into consideration exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it in order to make it look professional. So guys, what we're going to do now is let's get over to the laser. I'm going to do a lot of cleanup work. You guys are going to jump straight over to the laser and see the laser logo. And let's just see what we can kind of come up with this on this one. This one's definitely, she's rough. Yeah, without a doubt, she's rough. All right, guys, let's take a look and see exactly how this came out in the end as our final salvaged slide. I'm very pleased with the overall appearance of what we ended up with as that final product. I think we did a great job at salvaging it. It's definitely presentable now, without a doubt. My frame, optic, and barrel gives you guys a better visual of what's going on here. Instead of just talking about a slide, we actually get to see what would be a fully assembled firearm. Definitely more issues here that were beneath the surface. So as we first discussed, we kind of took it apart a little bit. We went through it piece by piece. I found out that the optic didn't actually fit in the hole. So once we took that cap off, I do a real quick sandblast. I want to be able to peel anything off that's on there to be able to kind of see it a little bit better. And I always check the optics because I just want to make sure they fit. You know, that's kind of one of the checks on the checklist that need to be, you know, checked off to make sure that it's fully functional. And it was not. So the optic itself would not fit between the rear sight and where the front cut is here. They definitely did not go into the plunger hole, so that's pretty nice. Their depth was a little lower, or I should say a little shallower than what I go. I end up going about 15-20 thou more than them. It's not a real big deal at the end of the day, but they were pretty close to what would be the standard spec on the market. So I don't think there's anything there to cry about. But definitely the non-fitting optic was kind of a key point there. Without a doubt, you would have had to shave the optic or shave the slide to get it in. Obviously, we opted for shaving the slide because we're going to recoat it. But if you were to receive this back and it didn't fit, your only option is to shave it yourself and have it recoated or shave your optic. I don't recommend shaving the optics because they're pretty expensive, and if they go from gun to gun, then you may see that shaved area, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do that. Doing the work the correct way the first time is kind of key. So we fixed that. I ended up shaving up here, shaving back here. I had to cut some tails off here where you have your radius. It's kind of hard to see. Where you have your radius here, we had to cut some tails off because it was rubbing there. So it wasn't anything major, but it was one of those deals that I was still kind of in awe that like it came back to the owner of the slide that way. Like it couldn't have functioned regardless. There was no real positive answer for that, so that was a little disappointing overall. We did our best to clean up the cut areas that were here and to remove some of those lines that were in here. This is something that needs to be done kind of in the process. I recommend doing some sort of a cleanup pass instead of a roughing pass on your CNC. Let the cutter do the job and let the machine perform the work instead of doing a lot of it by hand. It's kind of one of those deals where if it was mine and it was on there and it looked that rough, I would have just done a cleanup. It definitely, it's a smoother, more glass-like finish. Obviously, there's going to be some work that needs to be addressed, but it wasn't quite going to be as bad as it was here. I did my best to peel that stuff off to correct that and make the overall appearance under the coating not quite as rough. We went ahead and added the logo here. So that was pretty cool. I didn't want to add it to the center because the logo itself was more of a rectangular shape, and I didn't really want to just stretch it out to make it look odd. So it seemed to be the most precise accuracy was to kind of put it in the corner and make it look somewhat normal instead of just kind of putting it in the center with these two big gaps. So definitely a good placement of choice. We have some nice depth off that, so we're able to see that pretty nice. Now the deal behind the rear grips, as we talked earlier, was this was pretty high or thick sided, and this was pretty thin sided over here. I wanted to run something that was going to kind of blend that, so you wouldn't be able to see the actual depth of those cuts, or the height of those cuts, I should say, because there was a difference. So we ended up going with the diamond pattern. Overall, I was very pleased with the way that came out, and the idea behind it was it really masked the overall adjustment on the heights. You know what I mean? So this one was thinner than this one. You can definitely still see it there. But at the end of the day, if you look at a distance and from a distance, it's really hard to tell like which one is actually thinner than the other because the diamond pattern is such a blending pattern. So basically we end up removing all of the material to bring the diamonds higher, so therefore there's less material that's actually raised and there's more material that's actually removed. So it's the same depth that we ran the engraving, so we ran it the same number of passes on each side, but what that means is that the diamonds themselves would appear to have been raised slightly higher on one side than the other visually, but you really can't tell that. So I'm really pleased with the way that came out. I have some pictures of that, so we'll throw that in there. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed that content. There was a lot of new and cool stuff. Obviously there was a big fix-it plan there. Unfortunately the customer had to reach out to me in order to salvage their slide, but at the end of the day the customer ended up with a quality piece in hand. Very, very happy about that. If you haven't gone and watched our older content, you're really missing out. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. Subscribe, ring the bell, get those notifications turned on whenever that new stuff comes out. You guys are always going to see new and upcoming patterns and projects and things kind of unfold on this channel. We're always pushing the limits of what can and cannot be done. I have people that are underneath me. I train people for lasers, so it comes up being one of those things that I have to know how to do it. I get tasked with a lot of things that other people haven't done, some questions, comments, concerns of what they're interested in doing, and I take that information that they give me, I take those comments and those concerns about whether or not it can be done on that particular metal or plastic, and I roll with it, and I see if that's something that we can actually do. So definitely very, very cool. You're also going to find out that stuff like this is a 43 that we did, and it's beautiful. I mean, there is no better way of saying it. This is just a beautiful FDE on black. It just looks awesome. This did not end up making it into a complete video. So what ended up happening was I use this for my training. So we offer training to our laser buyers. So we talk about the correct way to prep the material, to actually run the material, to how to clear over it and how to make sure it doesn't peel and fade and things like that. And this was actually used in our training material video, which is going to be released soon for our laser stippling laser owner guys. So it comes out being one of those deals that they'll end up getting to see the whole thing, but it's just nice. And the idea is that it was posted over on Instagram. You guys got to see a portion of the work being performed, not as a full project, once again, because it was used in a different case. But guys, follow us on Instagram. There's a lot of cool things on Instagram. You're gonna see a lot of the interesting things turn up over there. Sometimes there isn't a full build video. Feel free to go to Google and search NCEngravers Instagram, and you'll find that there's a couple of places on there. There's a place like the Picta that you can actually go on there and click, and it will show you all of our pictures. You can't comment or like or anything like that, but you can still see the pictures that we put out. So there's an opportunity for you to still see some stuff, even if you don't necessarily follow us on Instagram. Give me a thumbs up if you like the content. It helps other people, you know, find us a little bit easier. So that's definitely pretty cool. And then, of course, if you have questions, concerns, comments, feel free to reach out to us. We've got a contacts tab on the webpage. We always, at the end of each video, have a phone number. Text me. I'm super busy. I am the big show of one. So basically, I am the operator, the CNC guy. I'm the designer. I'm the everything guy. So what that comes out being is a lot of times during the day, you're going to find me running a machine, trying to get those projects turned out. I usually have a lot of projects, and what it comes out being is that I'll hit you back on a text, but I probably won't take a call because I don't know what you want, because we're going to end up spending a lot of time figuring it out, and two, because I don't know how long it's going to take. And right now, since I do this full-time, this is my full-time job, you know, time is money. So I try to get my customers a quick turnaround time. I try not to put them off, and things like that. So it comes out being that there's multiple reasons why you usually don't take call. If it has to be a call, we can schedule it. We can do that time in the evening or something like that, and we can kind of work out through whatever it is that you have questions about. But typically, I try not to take calls during the day. So, but shoot me a text if you have a question about something. Shoot me a text. Email is the best because there's a paperwork trail, especially if you do want to have something done. We can kind of like re-pull that back up when your slide gets in here, and I can iron out the details of what we discussed. Sometimes you'll lose those in text because all I have is a number. So, but guys, feel free to let me know if you need anything, and hopefully you enjoyed the content. We've definitely had a lot of interesting builds over the last couple of days. If you haven't seen it, we also had a fix-it build on a 2.0. This video's already been out. Definitely recommend that you go back and watch this one as well. Lately, it's been like project after project, just kind of stacked and stacked and stacked. I've been working so many crazy projects lately that I haven't been doing a lot of the filming on them because I've been more worried about trying to get them out and make sure the quality is there and things like that. So it just happens to be that we've had a lot of projects that have been you know, multitasking on multiple projects at the same time, in the same time window. So I apologize about not getting that content turned out to you, but definitely a good build video here. I think you guys enjoyed what was going on here today, and this was just so this is my frame. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see this on here. So definitely loving that overall. Guys, I will talk with you on the next one.